So with Game Freak announcing Pokemon Legends ZA, or Pokemon Legends ZA as I like to call it, they have said that Mega Evolutions are going to come back into the game. So here are 10 Pokemon that I would just love to see get Mega Evolutions. First one being Skarmory. Skarmory is just such a cool Pokemon and it feels so overlooked. Like, it's a Gen 2 Pokemon, but it's hardly even in those games, to the point where I thought it was in Gen 3 for so long. Go so many different ways with it. You could make it more like Armory. I mean, that's kind of in the name, but you could make it more prehistoric looking. Like, there's so many different ways you could go with it, and it's such a cool design that you could do so much with. I would just love to see what they do with a Mega. I think you'd keep Steel Flying typing, but you could go like Steel Dragon as well. I think that could be pretty cool. And the next one is Yanmega. Firstly, it's in the name, Yanmega. Make it Mega Yanmega. That's just so fun to say. Just try saying to yourself, Mega Yanmega, Mega Yanmega. It's just so satisfying. Also, it's just such a cool Pokemon that I feel like has been overlooked. It could be the first dragon bug type. Why did they make this really cool dragonfly bug flying? I mean, I understand, but if they could have just made it dragon bug and it would have been so cool. So that's what I want to see. Dragon bug, Mega Yanmega. I think it could just look so cool. Like, look at this design. This design looks incredible. I love this so much. So the next one, there's a bit of a story behind it. So, we're going back to the Kalos region where Pokemon X and Y happened. And do you know what else happened the first time Pokemon X and Y was using competitive Pokemon? Pachirisu won Worlds, right? The most famous competitive Pokemon game of all time, the 2014 World Championship Finals where Pachirisu won Worlds. What better way to celebrate that than go back to Kalos, bring this Mega Pachirisu. I just think it would be such a cool way to like celebrate a cool Pokemon like Pachirisu winning World on a Sajin Park, one of the greatest Pokemon players of all time. I would just love to see it. Pachirisu as well is a really cool design. I think you could do a lot of different things with Mega Pachirisu. I'd love to see a more support one if it's there to celebrate it winning Worlds, as it did win as a support. The next one for me is Xatu. Xatu is just such a cool design, but I just wish it was a better Pokemon. There's so many different ways you could approach going Mega Xatu. You could go like a totem pole, like this design. You could go loads of different eyes, like this design. Like, there's so many cool designs. Look at all of these designs that look just so cool on a Pokemon that is almost forgotten. And it shouldn't be, because its design, it's just so amazing. I love Xatu's design so much, and I wish they would do more with it. The next one might be because I am a Gen 4 fanboy, but Luxray. Everybody loves Luxray. Luxray's so cool. Everyone just wants them to do something with Luxray. And to me, Luxray gives me similar vibes to like Houndoom. And they gave Houndoom a Mega last time, so why not Luxray? Luxray's just so cool, but I feel like I haven't used it since Gen 4, because it's just not that good or easy to find in other games. So I just want to use Luxray again, and what better way than giving it a Mega? And there's so many different cool things you can do with Mega Luxray. You can make it Dark Electric, you could make it, you can make it anything. That's the thing with Megas, you could do anything with them. You can make it really futuristic looking, you can make it almost like a saber-toothed tiger. And then I was thinking, now that we're back in Kalos, maybe they could give some Kalos Pokemon Megas. And the big one that came to mind with me was Florges. Florges, I love its design. I played through X and Y with Florges, and I loved it. I loved the different forms as well. I think it could be really cool to have a Mega that has different forms, although it might be a bit hard to code, but probably not, realistically. But also, I have a theory that we're going to see that Eternal Flower Floette, I think it's called, the Floette with the special flower, right? And what if that then evolves into a Florges, and then that Florges can Mega Evolve into a really cool Mega Eternal Florges or something? I would just love to see that. And then I was thinking they can also give Megas to new generation Pokemon, because obviously they couldn't in X and Y because those Pokemon didn't exist yet. But I was thinking, what Pokemon in Sun and Moon would I want to see get a Mega? And for some reason, I thought of Bewear. Bewear, I just think its design's really nice. I think it's really cool, and it's just forgotten about. So I would just love to see Mega Bewear. It's also quite nice to say Mega Bewear. It sounds like a warning. There's so many ways you can go with it because its initial design is so simple yet so good. And then I was also thinking Pokemon in Sword and Shield that I'd like to see get a Mega. And for some reason I thought Graplocked. And that feels like an odd choice, right? But just imagine a Graplock Mega Evolution. You can make like this big Kraken. It could have like 20 arms or something. So many things you could do with it. I would just love to see it. You could also make it, say, fighting water, or fighting, like, I don't know, you could give it a dual typing. I still find it a bit weird that Graplock, the octopus, is just fighting type. That's just odd to me. But imagine a Kraken with big boxing gloves. That just seems cool to me. And then this one isn't really one Pokemon, but technically 3. So if you presume that this is going to be at least somewhat similar to the Legends Arceus games, they're going to give us 3 starters from other generations. And I feel like these 3 starters should get Megas. So that probably means that it's not going to be any of the Gen 1 starters or Gen 3 starters, because they all already have Megas. And it's not going to be the Gen 6 starters, because we're going back to Carlos, so they'd want to give us different generation starters. So here are the starters that I would love for them to pick and then give Megas to. First one, Mega Meganium. Again, it's got Mega in the name. Just make it Mega Meganium. It's so fun to say. I also feel like Meganium's just so overlooked. Meganium's quite a cool design, but it's still one of my least favourite starters. And I feel like they could really make a lot of people go from really not liking Meganium to loving Meganium just by giving it a Mega. And then for the fire starter, I think I'd want to see Emboar. Emboar, again, is one of my least favourite fire starters. Like, I picked Epic in Black and White, and I was so disappointed when it turned out to be firefighting, and then even more disappointed when it was the worst one. It's bad enough making 3 firefightings in a row, but you leave the worst one till last? I just really don't like it, so I think giving it a Mega could make me like Emboar, because I think I just don't like it because I'm comparing it to other firefighting types. You can maybe even change its typing, make it like a fire dart thing, or just really make its design so cool, because a wrestling like boar pig, that could be so cool. And then they gave us this. They gave us this design for a wrestling boar pig, right? But imagine like this. That's such a cool design. It's not even that different, but it would be so good. And then as for water one, I have to go Empoleon. Empoleon is one of the coolest designs of a starter Pokemon ever. Imagine a Empoleon with like a massive trident and it's like spikier and stuff. That could be so cool. Or you can make its fins almost like shields. There's so many different things you can do with Empoleon. I also believe it's the only water steel type, so I think giving the only water steel type a Mega could be just really cool. I'd just love to see Empoleon. I really like Empoleon. I mean, I like all of the Gen 4 starters. I think they're maybe the best starter trio. So I'd just love to see at least one of them get a Mega. I think all of them would be so cool with a Mega, but in this case, I think I'd want to see Empoleon. And then my last pick for who I think should get a Mega, and realistically, we all know what's coming. We all know what I'm about to say. It's Flygon. Flygon has needed a Mega ever since they introduced Garchomp. Flygon, they made this really cool Pokemon. And then the next gen they were like, oh, you know what? We're just going to make a better version. Here's Garchomp. And then Flygon's forgotten about. Poor Flygon. It had one gen of being cool, and now it's just a worse Garchomp. And they gave Garchomp a Mega. Garchomp's Mega was even worse than Garchomp. But they still gave it a Mega instead of giving Flygon one. Just give Flygon a Mega. I still can't get over the fact we had Oras, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire in Hoenn, and they didn't give Flygon a Mega in that. It'll be like 10 years too late or whatever. But better late than never, give Flygon a Mega. So those are my 10 picks for Pokemon that I would love to see get Megas. If you guys have any other Pokemon you'd love to see get Megas, leave them in the comments, and then maybe I'll do a part 2 with your suggestions.